Welcome to day 3 of our 7-day Women's Embodiment Challenge. Today is actually going to start the blocks that we are going to discuss that really get in the way of us living our authentic selves or kind of stifling our feminine energy. Today's block we're going to discuss is called the good girlfriend. This can be applied to any relationship you're in, whether you're a girlfriend, a wife, a partner, if you're in a same-sex partnership. And so let's dig in. So, throughout our lives, we have picked up conditionings and programs from our culture, such as society, religion, media, and end up in situations that don't serve us. We lose ourselves, we go into fixing others, we think something might be wrong with us. This isn't true. And we give our power away, end up in not enoughness, or we spiral into other negative coping mechanisms such as overeating, overspending, or people pleasing. So the first block we are going to discuss is the good girlfriend slash wife slash mate slash partner. So one of the ways our feminine energy can be blocked, or our feminine river energy blocked, is through the expectation of what it means to be a good girlfriend. Now I'm going to just use the word girlfriend to substitute whether you're a wife, whether you're single, whether you're partnered, because when we're in relationship, this is kind of what can happen if we're not careful. So we've seen the magazine articles, the social media posts, the news stories, the church sermons, the YouTube personalities, all telling us what it means to be a good woman in a romantic relationship. We've been told from our culture what a good mate looks like. She's self-sacrificing, has an abundance of love and time to give. She does all things and does all things well. She may tend to all aspects of the home and still go out and work 40 hours a week. She may be the one who keeps the family schedule in check, so on and so forth. The problem with this is these ideals from our culture aren't always aligned with what we feel inside, especially when we've been depleted by trying to live up to these expectations. Continuing to follow or buy into these programs drowns out our intuition, which is a key component to our feminine embodiment. I want to share a personal story with you. Years ago, back in my very first year of teaching, I was in a relationship. I had just moved to Washington, D.C. 1 year prior, and I had met this guy who I had started to date exclusively. Things were by no means perfect, but they worked for me at the time. One of the reasons it worked was because we were not living together. At the time, I had been against living with a partner that I was not at least engaged to, and I made that clear from the beginning of our relationship. Eventually, I had moved apartments and got a bigger space, which was about 20 minutes away from my boyfriend at the time. Within 3 months of me moving, he had started to ask me about moving in. I reiterated my beliefs to him and why I did not want to do that. Not to mention, I was a first-year teacher in an urban Title I district, and I was in graduate school and really trying to get my bearings in this new career that I had undertaken. However, my now ex-boyfriend began to spin my response in a way that I must not love him if I wouldn't allow him to live with me. That I must not care about him in the way that he cared for me, and what that might mean for our relationship moving forward. Current me sees right through that as manipulation. But at the time, I had bought into the idea that I had to prove my love in my relationships, which caused me to make decisions for the sake of my relationships, even if it wasn't what I really wanted or in alignment with my beliefs or my intuition. So what did then programmed Amara do at the time? She allowed this boyfriend to move in. I had allowed his expectations of what a good girlfriend does to constrict my feminine flow of intuition, which was warning me that this decision was not the one to take at the time. As one can expect, problems commenced, In some aspects, I saw sides to my ex that I realized were not in alignment with who I was, and ultimately were signs that our relationship would not work long term. He was cruel to me, and we often argued because I hadn't made dinner or I hadn't done some other thing he needed. Keeping in mind, I was a first year teacher in grad school. He borrowed my car all the time and would not put gas in it, and I would get it and be close to empty. Um, he would borrow gas money from me because he never had any money. He also popped my tire and never got it fixed. And so he had the donut to put on it, and he and I drove on the donut for weeks, which is not what you're supposed to do, and is unsafe for whoever is driving. As he broke my tire, I waited for him to fix it. Ultimately, he stopped coming home and instead moved in with another woman whom I found out later that he had been cheating with me for a number of months. As you can imagine, this experience dimmed my light for quite some time, and I spiraled into a depression, not enoughness, and honestly, despair for a few months. I had felt that I had poured everything I had into this relationship, including doing things that I was uncomfortable doing. In all honesty, this happened around the time of spring break, and my mother, who was also a teacher, had to come down and get me together. She cleaned my house because I had stopped doing that. She cooked because I had stopped doing that. And honestly, she just came to pour love into me and help me put the pieces back together. In this case, she provided some of the masculine structure that I needed to get my rivers flowing again. Now, I don't share this story to make you think or believe that this will be your future in your relationships or any other relationship you have due to you ignoring your own intuition or make decisions that aren't in alignment. I share this to show how living in alignment is really a protective mechanism for all sorts that keep us safe emotionally and physically. This is not a call to break up if you are in relationship and see aspects of yourself from my experience. However, I do invite you to pay attention to the ways in which you may not be acting with integrity for yourself in relation to a romantic partner. I want to invite you to consider that making decisions and empowering yourself in your romantic relationships isn't about pushing against the relationship or against the other person. It's actually moving toward yourself and what your spirit is calling you to do and to be. And so as you continue to act in alignment with what is best for you, you will ultimately attract these kinds of people into your life. Journal prompt. Number 1. Think back to your current or previous romantic relationships. What are some ways in which you acted or made a decision that wasn't in alignment with your integrity or your intuition? Or made a decision that just didn't feel right, even if you couldn't explain it? What were some of the repercussions on you or your life as a result? 2. What would your relationship look like, current or future, if it was truly aligned with the person that you are or want to be? What role would you play? And how would you and your partner create a life together? Thanks for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and I'm really looking forward to see what insights you gather.